programs every morning, every single day, are 7 at 7, 7 days a week at 7 a.m. Hawaii time. So we'd like to welcome all of you. And we're going to talk about vocalization today. Okay, so vocalization, somatic healing through the voice. Why is this important? Because your body stores trauma. Okay, your body stores trauma. Now, you're not really aware of it until things trigger this trauma. Okay, and I work with a lot of military people that have PTSD, especially veterans. Okay, they've been through a lot, especially people that have been through war or tours of duty that have been around combat. You don't necessarily have to be in combat, but you can be around it and it will affect you. Okay, and what happens is these people are afraid because when they go out, right, when they go out to, like, say, malls with a lot of people, they get panicky. Okay, they start getting panic attacks. But the somatic healing helps them and relieves them of the triggers. Okay, so it softens triggers. It doesn't necessarily make everything go away. Okay, it's not like that. Um, that kind of trauma is pretty severe. But I've also, good morning, Jay. Good morning. But I've also, good morning, Sarah. Good morning, Charlie. Good morning, guys. The whole family's here. Yeah. Um, but you see, when you have these triggers that are deeply embedded in severe trauma, it takes a while, okay, to soften these things or to make them go away. Now, medication is good for some people. Okay, we're not saying that medication is not good, but medication treats symptoms. Okay, your somatic regulation, when this is done through the voice, treats the cause. Okay, it treats the cause. So you start relaxing more inside. So what we say is, when you are relaxed inside, okay, if you go to a massage therapist, this is um, what I use to explain it, right? But if you go to a massage therapist and they work on you on the outside and they go, wow, you're stressed. When a human being is stressed, they're not just stressed on the outside, they're stressed right through their body. So their muscles, their interior muscles, are tense. Okay, so a lot of people have tight voices. If a person has a tight voice, they're tight in here. Okay, so what do? We start in here. And that's where the voice comes in. That's where the somatic healing comes in. Okay, and this is neurological. I mean, you can look this up, you can Google it. Okay, somatic healing through the voice. Now, when you Google it, the only difference between what I do and what's listed is when you Google it, it'll say humming, it'll say singing, it'll say, these things. But what we do is we do it pretty strongly. We use velocity, okay, wind speed, okay. So it's velocity, but it's also energy, frequency, and vibration, because you are vibration. Okay, nothing is static in the universe. You're moving. Your cells are moving. And vibration and frequency affect your cells. This is why people are getting sick from 5G, all of those things. It's frequency. Okay, there's frequency weapons that they're using now. Okay, Desert Storm. When you watched Desert Storm, remember, it was the first televised war. We could see it in real time. Okay, and everybody was surrendering and throwing down their weapons. It was because of the voice of God weapon. And you can look that up. The voice of God weapon. It's a frequency weapon. Okay? So they put the voice of God in people's heads. Okay, I'm not making this up. You can go look it up. The voice of God weapon. Okay, but frequency. Okay, my purpose for saying this is one day frequency will be used commercially to heal people. Okay, the reason why it hasn't been done now, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, but the reason why I think it hasn't been done is because it would cure a lot of things, and it's not in the best interest of, let's say, the medical industrial complex to cure things. Okay, it's in their best interest to treat things, because that's what they do. They treat things. Okay, so when I've worked with people, right, and I'm talking about children as young as 3 years old. Okay, now the 3-year-olds don't have issues, I can tell you that. Okay, they are open, they are sponges, because up until 7 years old, your first initial paradigm is being formed. Okay. And so these are all the somatic heal. Yes, somatic healing. There we go. There we go, you guys. And you can ask me questions. So, and we're talking about somatic healing through the voice. Okay. So, good morning. Hey, there she is. Hi, Janice. Good morning, Janice. So, so anyway, somatic healing through the voice. Now, when you do this or when you go about this process, what happens? Well, it starts producing chemicals, um, hormones to be exact. Okay, your neurotransmitters start secreting oxytocin and endorphins. Now, the reason why we have two exercises that we use for this, one of them is a panting exercise to build your diaphragm. Why is that important? Because when your diaphragm is strong, you can push up more air faster. Okay? Then we work on the pharyngeal muscles. We make the pharyngeal muscles strong so that when you project the tones, you get more hormones. Okay, so in other words, the stronger you can produce these tones, the more hormones flood your brain. Okay, what does that do? It calms you. It calms you on the inside. Okay, so this is an approach to emotional and psychological well-being. Okay, but this is not something that I mean. It's something that you can look up and whatever. But we started doing this by mistake. Okay, I was doing this by mistake because before 2007, I did my research in 2007. But before that, it was all about okay, bring your voice out, bring your voice out. You can sing stronger than that kind of thing, at my voice school. And then we started noticing that my adults and kids and everything, their whole attitude changed. I mean, their personality started to shift. Medications, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then some depression meds. They started telling me about these things, and I had no idea. I don't know what the depression medications are, or I don't preoccupy myself with thinking about those things. My thing is development. My thing is healing. Okay, so I've been a healer for a long, long time, but I don't do somatic healing like a somatic healer does, or like in the spiritual community when you have toning. You can look that up, toning through the voice. In the spiritual community, okay, they describe it very different than what I do. I don't teach voice the way a voice teacher would teach voice, and that's why my students improve every single week. They get stronger, okay, because it's not like the classical music form on YouTube. I had classical music training. I was trained in classical music. Okay. And when I took my training, my first question was, why does everybody sound the same? Why are they all clones? Right? There was this one lady in Hawaii, and she was teaching uh, classical music form and bel canto to be specific. And she taught this one guy who became very, very well known in Hawaii. And then all the other local guys, went to her, right, and said, "We want to sing like him." And then there was tons of people that ended up singing like this guy, okay? And they all kind of sounded like him, but you could tell who he was, in the back, right? But they sounded like him. And so when I did my classical training, I found out, well, okay, it's the foreign language pronunciation. So I never taught that. Okay, but even even with that being said, there's nothing on YouTube that is similar to my teachings at all, because my teachings are spiritual. They've always been spiritual. Now, what am I talking about spiritual? When I say spiritual, my definition is you're not your body, you're not your name, you're that energy that lives in here. And when you start working with this energy, I don't care if it's healing, I don't care if it's singing, whatever you do with your voice, okay? You can cheer, is cheer stronger, okay, louder, whatever, okay, more powerful, okay? But everything is energy in the universe. And when you start to understand this, okay, have you ever had bad energy sweep over you? Have you ever felt like lack of energy? Okay, this happens to me here and there, okay? Now, this is not an evil spirit, it's just dark energy. There's dark energy, there's light energy, okay? Some people call it an evil spirit. It's not really an evil spirit, okay? It's the lack of your default energy, which is love, okay? On a spiritual level. I don't care if you're religious or spiritual, Okay, religious people understand me, and they go, "Oh, okay." And then I show them in the Bible, if they're Christians, I show them in the Bible where all these writings are. It's in the Bible. It's always been there. But if you're looking at the Bible as a story, then it becomes the greatest story ever told. Then you're focused on the story. You're not focused on the esoteric meaning, and you miss the whole thing. But when I started coming from energy, frequency, vibration, and velocity, okay, everything changed for my students. When I started teaching voice, I was teaching, basic. I was never teaching classical form, but I was teaching basic knowledge, basic vocal knowledge, explaining. So, oh, there you go. Okay, that's the AI. Okay, we have a chat going on over here. We're on 7 platforms worldwide every morning. So, um, somatic healing came about because in 2007, when I did the research, it started pointing to different things. Because I was wondering about this confidence. I was teaching confidence, and all I knew was I was just cheering them on as they got more confident. I was good, and the thing about subconscious learning is you point out what's going well, and their subconscious, right? Your students, your clients will automatically get better. Why? Because their subconscious is listening. So part of my training includes me saying things like good, that's it, you got it, perfect, whatever. All those adjectives. Why? Because it goes into the subconscious and it accelerates learning. If somebody is teaching you anything, whatever it is, and they're teaching you and they're giving you negatives, if they're saying stuff like no, not like that, or don't do that, or that's wrong, if they're saying these things to you, they're not good teachers. Okay, because what they're doing is they're constructing roadblocks as they go in the effort, okay, to teach you something. Think about how absurd that is. They're trying to teach you something. They're trying to get you from point A to point B, and they put up all these roadblocks along the way. If they're doing these things, I had teachers like that in high school. In my high school, they were terrible teachers. I come from a family of teachers. Okay, and even my mom, who's a teacher, taught that way, right? But when you start to study psychology, when you start to study, okay, the way human beings are designed, then you go, oh, okay. If you eliminate the negatives from the process, guess what happens? Accelerated learning. Okay? Learning that happens very, very quickly. And you can create shifts very, very quickly. Shifts in personality. Okay? I'm talking about confidence. Okay? I'm not talking about anything weird. Okay? Confidence. Body language. All of these things start to improve as you focus on what's good about something and ignoring what's bad about something. So I had this guy come into my studio. I teach online now. I teach all over the world online. I have clients in the UK. I have clients in Europe, clients in Ireland, where else? All over the United States. Okay, I have clients in California. I have clients in Texas. Clients in Florida. Clients in West Virginia. But before, when I only taught here in Hawaii, in my studio, this guy stood in the middle of my studio and he said, I need to know what I'm doing wrong. And this is the way people are accustomed to learning, and they're unaware that it only builds more walls. And I said, why do you need to know what's going wrong? He said, so I can fix it. You would think that that's the logical process, right? Wrong. I said, you don't need to know what's going wrong. You need to focus on what's going right. And that will grow. And that will edge out what's going wrong. That's the law of attraction. That's the law of vibration. These are universal laws. what you focus on as a human being intensifies. Okay? It expands. It grows. Okay? So if you're focused on negativity, guess what happens? It grows. How does that happen? Through your subconscious. Why? Because then it goes into your subconscious as a belief. I'm focusing on this, and this is wrong. This is bad. I'm doing this bad. I'm doing this wrong. And it goes into your subconscious like this. Then what happens? Your subconscious looks for avenues to make that wrong happen more, or to make it happen. And then what happens? Then it compounds what's going wrong. Okay? So you need to put this in proper context. You need to understand how learning happens through your subconscious. So your three states of awareness internally, okay, are the conscious, subconscious, superconscious. The superconscious represents God. Okay? So your conscious mind makes decisions. Your subconscious starts creating inroads to things once you believe it. And then it starts to become a program. So if you look at a computer, right? I always do this analogy for you, so it's easy to understand. Conscious mind, operating system. You know, if you have an iPhone, okay, I don't know how Samsung does it, but or you know, the Androids do it, because I don't have an Android. But the iPhone has operating systems and they have updates. And then the operating system gets updated. So that's the conscious mind. The subconscious mind is where all the programs are stored. Okay, the subconscious. So that's your hard drive. Okay, like a computer. All the programs are stored in your hard drive. What's the superconscious, or God? So if you believe in God, you believe in source, you believe in universe, you believe in whatever you believe in. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. But that is the network that we're all plugged into. What are we plugged into? Awareness. Awareness. And this awareness creates circumstances that science still does not understand. So not everything I say is going to be scientific, because they're still working on it. But they're discovering more. Quantum physics is up to the 10th dimension. Okay, so we live in 3 dimensions. Up, down, left, right, front, back. Okay? Plus time. But what about in and out? In here, in the kingdom. Jesus Christ talked about the kingdom within. Gautama Buddha talked about it too. Krishna talked about it too. Zoroaster talked about it too. The list is very long. But everybody talked about the kingdom within. Jesus was the last one 2,000 years ago, in the last age. Now we're in the age of Aquarius, where all the truth is coming out about everything, good and bad. So for you spiritual people, okay, religious and spiritual people, okay, because I consider the two spiritual, okay, religious is just following dogma. Religion is just saying, okay, we're going to acknowledge the kingdom within, but these are the rules, and this is how we're going to do it. Okay, because you have so many factions of Christian churches. Okay, you have people, you know, with different methods of belief with the same thing. But whether you're religious or spiritual, when you acknowledge the kingdom, amazing things happen in here. And this is what your voice is part of. Your voice is a part of you. And what you speak creates. Okay? The word abracadabra, you've heard that, you know, when you're kids and you're doing magic, you're like, abracadabra. Okay? It means I create as I speak. But how does that process work? It works in your subconscious. I point here, but that's not your subconscious. Okay? People understand subconscious when you do that. It's a culmination of all of your senses. So when you speak, it goes into your subconscious. When you speak it enough, it becomes a belief. That's why you need to watch what you say. Okay, about yourself and about others. Okay? Because when you're hating on somebody, right? When you're speaking against someone, your subconscious does not know if you're talking to them or if you're talking to yourself. This is why silence is important. This is why Buddhist monks sit in silence. This is why silence is a big part of their journey. So your subconscious is unaware. It cannot judge. It does not judge. The superconscious does not judge. God does not judge. God empowers. What does God empower? God empowers what's in your subconscious. So in holy writings, in the Bible, in the Bhagavad Gita, when it says God knows your heart, it's not talking about your heart. It's talking about your subconscious. God knows as you believe. God knows what you believe. Source, the universe knows what you believe. And what you believe sets your life path. What you believe starts to unfold for you. Okay? Good or bad, it doesn't matter because they don't judge. Okay? So when you believe good stuff, guess what happens? Your life path unfolds from within like this and you receive good. Why? Because like attracts like. And because you're putting forth these good emotions or these good feelings. Now, if it's bad and you keep getting bad circumstances, you're putting out bad feelings. You're putting out fear-based emotions. And the fear-based emotions begin with worry and go down. So it starts with worry and then it'll go down. It'll get to guilt and shame. And then finally at the bottom, fear. And what will that do? That will bring you stuff, okay, because you manifest whether you realize it or not. But if you're stuck, okay, we say that, right? Stuck. If you're stuck in negativity, or let's say it another way, if you keep getting drama, if you keep getting bad stuff, right? At some point you get frustrated. You don't know what to do about it. How can I get pulled out of it? Because you are in this loop. Okay, that's what the voice does. It separates you from that program. It pulls you out from that program. Energy, frequency, vibration, and velocity. It pulls you out from it so you can see it. Because sometimes when you're in it, you can't see it. It just happens. This is why time needs to go by, right? And then you look back and you go, yeah, you know that situation I had, right? That situation I had. Yeah, now I know why it was like, because you can't see it when you're in it. Okay, you can see it after the fact. You can't see it before the fact. But humans are conducive to their environments. Okay? Human beings conform to their environment. But you have the power inside of you to heal these things. And I'm talking about emotional things. I'm talking about being grounded instead of having all these thoughts and not being able to concentrate and being anxious. Anxiety is very easy to cure. Very easy. But it's these thoughts that keep coming back. Okay? And the thought happens first and then the emotion. So first you think the thought, then you suffer the emotion, good or bad. Okay? Because you can have good suffering, believe it or not. So a condition, whether it's good or bad, is a condition. So Gautama Buddha said, well, the man who looks at life as an illusion escapes suffering. What are the conditions? The conditions are illusions. Okay? because the conditions are the result of what you're feeling about what you're thinking. Everything begins in thought. I know it's a little deep for some people, right? Okay, but it's very simple. When you think the thought, the emotion comes. If you stop the thought, the emotion cannot come. It cannot harm you. It cannot touch you. It cannot affect you. It cannot push you over here or push you over here, because this is your life path. Like this, it unfolds like this. Okay? I used to work in a very, very toxic work environment with people that were very manipulative, very negative, very controlling. And I just mean mental mind games kind of thing. And I had to go back to my office. I had to sit back in my chair. And I had to close my eyes. And I had to meditate and detox and just allow all that energy to leave. And then I continued my day at my companies. Okay. But that toxic work environment was necessary for me because my company contracted to them. But my point is, when you do the vocalization exercise, it will change. These things will go, the fear will subside, and you can move on. Okay? And how does this work? Well, you produce these strong tones with your voice. Okay, so we do it in half steps. Okay, and you can look up somatic healing, but we do it a little stronger. We do it a little bit more aggressive. And what happens with singers? With singers, they can express themselves. Why? Because it's about pushing energy through the muscles. It expands the muscles. Pretty soon, right, with strong muscles and conditioned muscles and expanded muscles, you get more sound. So pretty soon, people start singing a lot stronger. Okay, I'm talking about singers. So they start singing. It's a natural process. Any human being can sing. It's tone memorization and expression. The expression. Okay, so you memorize a song. Let's say you listen to a song, okay? You know those songs you hear on the radio, and you know, they play it like 100 times a day, and it's in a rotation, and there's 20 songs that keep going and go in a circle all day. Okay, they do that for sales. Okay, if you want to call it brainwashing, okay, it's brainwashing, but it's subconscious. Okay, pretty soon you start liking the song, then you memorize the song, you know the words. Okay, and then years go by and you don't hear the song anymore because now they're promoting new songs. But then you like that song so much you want to sing that song, right? So what does it take to replicate that song? Well, first of all, your muscles have to be open. Okay? If you have tight muscles, you can't express yourself. Pattern recognition is all it is. Okay? But unless your muscles open up, you cannot articulate what it is that you know. And I'm talking about the melody pattern. Okay? So when your muscles begin opening up, guess what? Oh, now it comes out. The pattern recognition of the melody is there in your brain. In other words, you have a brain tattoo of the song. And you know the words, you memorize the words, and now you can express it freely. That's for singers. Okay? And the singers become confident because of the somatic healing properties to it, to the process. Okay. So when we went down the rabbit holes and did the research in 2007, by 2010 we go, oh, okay, everybody can use this. This is something that can heal people from emotional trauma, from, thinking that they're not good enough. That's all emotional trauma, okay? Fear, guilt, shame, worry, anxiety, all of those things. But it heals the root of it. It heals in here. So we started Here For You Life Coaching in 2010. If you go to our Google site, Here for You Life Coaching, Honolulu, Hawaii. You read our reviews. They're pretty amazing reviews. You know, one person one person put that, I'm like a guardian angel or something. And I'm like, no, no, that's not it. You're the guardian angel. You are the guardian angel. You are the miracle. Okay? It's a miracle, first of all, to get to have one of these bodies. Okay? But you're in here. You're the spirit that lives in here. Okay? But it's a miracle to achieve this. Okay? But not, because not everybody makes it, right? Look at how many babies actually get to be born. So when you look at the biology of it, it's incredible, right? So if you want to see a miracle, go stand in the mirror, turn the light on in the bathroom, okay? Right in front of the mirror, and look at your miracle. This is your miracle. You are the miracle. And you're a spiritual being in here, okay? And you can bring anything to you, but you have to focus on it. That's all it is. Applied focus. Ask, believe, receive. When you focus on something, you're asking. When you're praying for something, you're asking. When you're intending something, you're asking. Okay, the belief part is important, because if you don't believe what you're asking for, okay, let's say you're asking for a new house and you just don't believe it'll happen. You can pray for that house, you can wish for that house, you can intend for that house, you can write affirmations for that house, you can speak it out loud, you can turn it upside down. It's not going to happen. And this is why most religious people, okay, because of the fear in religion, have been pushed from here over here on this side. And that fear, okay, fear-based dogma, okay, allows them to be controlled. How so? Because fear pushes things away from you. If things are going away from you, if the perception is, oh, I'm not yet there, I want to get to heaven. Heaven is a destination. It's a place, right? It's up there somewhere. I want to get there. I'm not there yet, right? I'll just give more money to the church. I'll just be a good person. I'll go through the rituals. I'll go every Sunday, yada, yada, yada. That doesn't get you into heaven. Heaven is now. Heaven is here. Heaven is a choice. Happiness is a choice. Lack is a choice. Abundance is a choice. They're all choices. But you have to choose. And if you're part of a fear-based anything, fear-based teaching, fear-based religion, fear-based community organization, whatever it is, it's not healthy for you. Okay? So God doesn't judge, first of all. God is love. But God only works in what's in your subconscious. Okay? So your belief is important. So the question becomes, what do you believe? What do you believe about you? I know plenty of people that go to church. Tons of people that go to church. Okay? Some of them are acquaintances of mine. They go to church. And they don't believe in themselves. They have no belief in this. They believe in the church. They believe in God. They believe in all those things. Okay? But there's a separation. Okay? They've been told the kingdom is within, but in their mind there's a separation. Okay? If there's a destination, there's a separation. It's not about destination. It's about location. The kingdom is within. So you can be in a system and not of a system. You can be in the world and not of the world. And we're starting to see all these truths come out. We're starting to see who runs the churches. We're starting to see who runs the governments. We're starting to see all of these things. I started studying these things when I was 13. I started telling people a long, long time ago, years and years and years ago. And everybody just kind of laughed it off and, yeah, okay, yeah, right, whatever. Because they believed in the physical systems. Jesus in the Bible said, I will be with you until the end of the world. The world's not going anywhere. The systems are evolving. They're getting more sophisticated. The original translation is, I will be with you until the end of these systems of things. Is the system going to end? No. Nobody's going to wreck their system. They're going to modify it. They're going to improve it, whether we like it or not. But the faith and the belief should not be in the system. It should be in here. Because God lives in here. God lives in you. Okay? This is not about church. This is about how your subconscious works. This is about how the superconscious, which is God, universe, source, Allah, Jesus Christ, works off of what's in your subconscious. Okay? So how do you get your beliefs in your subconscious? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Okay, today we're talking about the vocalization part. We're talking about somatic healing. Why is the healing important? Because you've been projected onto by so many things. Okay? You are manifesting whether you realize it or not. Manifestation is automatic. Actions produce results. It's that simple. When you go to a movie, okay, this is why you need to be careful about your diet. Okay? I don't go to movies, and when I do go, well, I go to movies like once, I don't know, I haven't been to a movie for years right now. Okay? But when I do go, I go to a comedy. Until they started making really trashy comedies, right? There were these obscene comedies, right? I'm like, I don't find that funny. Okay? However, when I go to a movie, I don't go to a movie that's going to give me a perception of something. And you know movies are very influential. Why? Because we use them in everyday speech. Oh, you know in that movie, so-and-so, you said, did you see that movie, such and such? Yeah, you know in that movie where they did this, they did that, they did, like that, right? Okay. And people look at, when they say, oh, have you seen this movie? And then you go, no, I never saw that movie. They look at you like you're stupid. Okay. If that's you and you haven't seen the movie and they treat you like that, just know you're the smart one. Okay? They have been conditioned. Okay? Who writes these movies? Go back to the source. Go back to the source. A full head of hair. Thank you. That's funny. Go back to the source. Who writes the movies? Okay? Who produces the movies? Go to the source. If you're reading a book, who's the author? What's their philosophy? What do they believe? Okay? Because they will make a case for what they believe. You will be influenced by what you're studying. Always consider the source. But your source in here is adequate. It's more than adequate. Why? Because you were born with infinite knowledge. Don't confuse knowledge with education. You can challenge, you can channel knowledge from the superconscious. It's not difficult to do, but you need to heal in here first. You need to relax in here first. You need to be confident in here first. And that's where the somatic healing takes place. Okay? the somatic healing is important. Why? Because with the somatic healing, you clear, you become clear. With the somatic healing, you get rid of the negative emotions: guilt, shame, fear, anxiety, worry. All of those things start to subside, and they're controllable. Is fear necessary? Yes, fear is necessary. It's there to warn us. And humans have negativity bias. But if you're living in fear all the time, if you're fearful all the time, if you're walking around on pins and needles, okay, then you're living in survival mode. Why do they call it survival mode? Because humans survive that way. Our amygdala helps us to survive. Okay, cortisol, the hormone cortisol, is there for a reason. If there's a bear in the bushes or a lion in the bushes or whatever, we need to run. So the flight and fight or flight syndrome is necessary. Those responses are normal. But if you're living like that all the time, that's not normal. If you see the world as, one big negative place, that's not normal. Because then you start to go like this. Okay? When people come to me, they're like this. Okay? The somatic healing makes them go like that eventually. Okay, first it's like this. Okay, then the first step, they get relaxed like that. Okay, that takes a couple of sessions. Okay, it takes 12 sessions. It's a 12-session program. And then like this, like this, like this, like this. When you are open, when you allow, then goodness comes. Why? Because you allow it. Because you're not resisting. Okay, when you're living in survival mode, you have resistance. Automatic resistance. When you're pushing, work, push. In Hawaii, it's very expensive to live here. People have 3 jobs. And so they push, work like that. What happens? Their blessings are out here. It's trying to come to them, but there's too much push. Okay, this happens a lot in the Western world. High performance anxiety looks exactly like motivation. So we look at those people and we go, oh, wow, they're motivated. Wow, they're high achievers. Oh, they're bringing in tons of money. But in here, they're empty. In here, they need to fill up for themselves. High performance anxiety, look it up, it's a thing. So all of this anxiety gets stored in your nervous system. Somatic healing brings it out. It gets rid of it. Okay? It becomes controllable. Why? Well, because when you can see it, okay, and be in it at the same time, when you can switch to observer and you can observe a situation while you're in it, and I'm talking about objectively, it gives you more power. Okay? This is why when you see the truth will set you free. It'll upset you first, right? Because you've spent so much time being conditioned. You've spent so much time in societal hypnosis. You've spent so much time being numb to so many things. Well, aren't we supposed to be numb? Aren't we supposed to be badass? Aren't we supposed to be all of that? You're a human being. When you're desensitized, it works against you. The somatic healing process through the voice resensitizes you. And then you begin to ask questions like, why am I watching this stuff? Why am I partaking in this stuff? This is low vibrational activity, and, it was interesting. I used to like that. But why am I doing this? It doesn't make sense. Ah, I've been conditioned into this. Ah, okay. You see? You see? And you don't know why. There was tons of people that used to hate me and don't know why. Because they were conditioned from other people. That happens all the time. Clicks. Okay? When you're not in the clique, you're outside the clique. If you're outside the clique, it's open season for the clique. Okay? You don't have to follow the clique. You don't have to pay the gatekeeper or pay homage or kowtow to the gatekeeper. The hell with the gatekeeper. I never did it. I did it in the beginning. I tried to. Okay? I tried to. Didn't work. So what did I do? I relied on the kingdom. And guess what happened? All of a sudden one day it came in the form of, can you substitute on this radio show? I was like, yeah, sure. Let's have some fun. And that fun on the third day, I did a podcast about it, on my podcast. On the third day, it just started going. I didn't notice it till the third day. Like I said, you cannot tell when you're in it. But on the third day, I was sitting there, live on the radio, and that intuitive voice, that intuitive thought came from the superconscious. And it said, the doors are opening. Sing for your life. Which just meant to put out more energy. You know, like, come on, give it all you got. That kind of feeling, okay? And that's exactly what I did. And it led to 15 years of all kinds of stuff. Good opportunities. Okay, I built 3 more businesses. I already had one. I built 3 more. Tons and tons of things. But it's not about flexing. It's not about telling you what I did. You can look me up. Put my name in any browser, in any AI, anything. And ask it questions. Most importantly, teaching method. And it will give you my teaching method. It will give you everything, all the information. I wish I had a bigger calendar. I wish I could work with more people. Right now, I think I only have like 2 more 30-minute spots. That's it. But what I'm really trying to get across to you is that the perception of the physical world, the rules of the physical world versus the spiritual world and the kingdom within are no comparison. You don't have to do these things that you see that they say, oh, you got to do it this way. Oh, this is how it works. Oh, you got to do it this. No. Bull crap. You need to focus on here in you, on your life path, and the doors will open because God opens the door. If you believe in God, the source, universe, that's what does it. In here, because of your awareness, and you're connected in here, not out there. There is no out there. The only thing out there is nature and things from someone else's in here. All the systems come from someone else's in here. And they have their best interest in mind, not yours. So how does that work for you? It works in here when you focus on in here. God lives in here. Source lives in here. The universe lives in here. Jesus Christ lives in here. You know, this religious lady, right? She wanted to meet me. She bought my book. Yeah, this is my book if you want to see it. I don't normally push my book, but here it is. The Universal Law of Attraction and Singing. It's talking about somatic healing. There's stories in here of real people that came to me that changed their life through their voice. Somatic healing is what this is all about. It's on Amazon. And I made it very, very affordable. It's like $10 so that everyone can read it. There's 15 chapters. It's easy to read. It's well organized. And it only has 5-star ratings. You can check it out on Amazon. Okay. But the point of all of that is that people heal through their voice. It's not about singing per se, but the discoveries were made through singing. And then, oh, somatic healing is a thing. Ah, how does that work? Okay. But the way it works and the way we do it are two little, we tweak it a little bit, but it was unintentional. It was by a mistake. But it takes fear away. Okay, confidence cannot exist where fear is. Okay, one lady came to me, and in 9 months, she came in my office. She goes, "Guess what?" I'm like, "What?" She goes, "I filed for divorce." I'm like, "Whoa." I had a 65-year-old lady. She brought her grandson, and I could see she was troubled. And I said, "Why don't you come for your own session, and I'll help you. I won't charge you. I'll just help you." Because she was paying for her and her grandson, right? So I said, "Come, do an extra session during the week when your grandson's not here, and I'll help you." And then she comes in. In a few months, she comes in with this huge gift basket. And she goes, "I really want to thank you." I'm like, "What happened?" She goes, "Well, now I'm with my girlfriends. I finally had the guts to move out of my daughter's house." And this was the significant part. She goes, "And I left everything to my grandson when he's 50, so she won't get any of it." I'm like, whoa, okay. Something terrible must have been going on. I don't ask. I don't need to know. The difference between what I do and therapy is with what I do, you never have to explain what's wrong. It'll just fix it. You don't have to talk about it. Okay, when you talk about it, it goes into your subconscious more. Okay, the more you speak about, you go to a therapist, talk to the therapist, explain everything to the therapist, it gets more and more in your subconscious. The somatic healing just breaks it up, pulls you out, calms you down, and you don't need to go back to it. Do the triggers come back? Yeah, but they're very, very like that. They're controllable. So my PTSD military people, the veterans that come back from wars, right? They go into the shopping centers, they start getting panic attacks because there's too many people. They could be the enemy, right? That kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, after this somatic healing, 3 months of this, okay, 12 weeks. After 12 weeks of this, they go in the mall, they start breathing heavy, and then they calm. And then they walk through the mall. It doesn't matter. Okay? Why? Because it's gone? No, it doesn't leave. It's not gone. But they can control it. Okay, it's a thing. Look it up. Do the research. You can go to our website. We have all the medical papers. They're called white papers. We have all the white paper links on our website. It's hereforyouLifeCoaching.com. And if you want to try it, you can try it. Okay, I have 2 half hours left. Okay, so let's do a little summary. We're getting up close to the hour. I have clients today, so I have to go soon. Okay. Instead of talking your way out of stress, right? Instead of talking about it, okay? Just know that you can express it out of your system. So what I tell my clients is, just think of all your stress, think of all the things that are bothering you and push it out through your voice. They become new people. They become very different people. It's amazing. It's amazing what happens. Okay. It's amazing. The vibe in their eyes, first of all, changes. That's how I know. Because I teach online, right? And I see the look in their eyes. Okay. When your pupils are pinpointed, okay, not good. When your pupils are dilated and relaxed, you're relaxed. You cannot have both. Okay? You cannot come in with a tense look and then be relaxed inside. Okay? So the demeanor changes. People's demeanor changes. Okay? They get more relaxed. What happens when you get more relaxed? You're happier. Why? Because of the alleviation of the negative emotions. And this is all done through the human voice. So when we started here for you life coaching, it was for the people who weren't interested in singing. And we have the other side for people that are interested in singing. Singing is easy. Singing is so easy. But like I said, if your muscles are tight, which means stress, okay? Because if you're stressed on the outside, you're stressed all the way through your body. So the muscles that it takes to control your singing, okay, the pharyngeal group in the back of your throat that control singing, they're stiff. If they're stiff, your sound is going to be stiff. If these muscles are exercised, okay, the way we do it for the somatic healing, it's the same thing. Okay, the same exercises work for both sets of people. It's just that one set of people are focused on, their profession, their goals, manifesting, good stuff rather than tight stuff, right? The more relaxed they are, they know what to do, right? My professionals know what to do. They're very good at what they do. But when you pile all these negative emotions on what they do, it's a chore. Okay? And it affects them. So they need to be clear. They need clarity. And this does that. And then what happens? Well, then what they do is in flow state now. So it happens effortlessly. It just kind of happens like that. And then they achieve more. They achieve better. Okay. So the human voice does all of these things when you produce strong, straight tones. Okay. And muscle memory is important. Okay. For singers as well as others. Because you want the muscles very agile and you want the muscles to be able to hold strong notes. So the diaphragm strengthens so that it can push a lot of air. And then your pharyngeals strengthen so they can hold or process what's being pushed. And what happens as a result? As a result, your neurotransmitters secrete more oxytocin and more endorphins. Endorphins are the feel-good hormones. Oxytocin is the bonding hormones. Okay, so these things happen, and they happen very quickly. 12 weeks, I got new people in 12 weeks. It's amazing. And I think the best part of what I do, or my favorite part of what I do, is when I hear the stories. Like, guess what happened? And people always tell me, guess what happened? What? Oh, I said something, and I would never say these things, but I said it, and I'm so proud of myself. And I'm like, yeah, there you go. Okay? So you don't need gatekeepers. You don't need to rely on somebody else for your own success, because you have your own life path. What you need to do is get clear. When you're clear, your life path will unfold for you, and everything that is yours, because you will manifest what is yours, will come to you. Okay? So we are, thank you, Jay. Thank you. Thank you, Manuel. Take care, you guys. And we will see you tomorrow on the live at 7 a.m. Hawaii time. We're going to say goodbye to our Streamlabs people.